I'm Pam Wiznitzer, a mixologist and beverage professional who's been crafting drinks for nearly 20 years. Have you ever made a cocktail at the circus? Or perhaps at 30,000 feet in the air? Because I have, and I happen to have a master's degree in spirits. But here's the secret. To mix a great drink, you don't need any of that. I'll show you how to make the classics right at home, and then we'll give them a twist. And you never know who might stop by the bar. Stick with me and you'll be a bar whiz in no time. Have you ever heard of the paper plane cocktail?
I have not.
It's Aperol, it's an amaro called Nonino, whiskey, and lemon juice. Does that sound enticing to you?
It does.
Yeah?
I like the amaro, the Italian twist in there.
They say it's one of the drinks of 2025.
I think things are so chaotic, whatever gives us the best taste feeling, that might be the 2025 drink for sure.
Have you ever heard of a cocktail called the paper plane?
Yes, my wife actually loves paper planes. I love paper planes.
Do you remember the first time you had one or heard of one?
Yeah, I think it was probably like a year ago at a restaurant called Abba in Laguna Beach. They have a great paper plane there, and it's very good.
The first person to know what a paper plane is. This is so great. You think you're gonna go out and get a paper plane?
Well, I'm heading to lunch now as soon as we're done, so I'll think about it on my way.
There seems to be a cocktail for every year. The Dirty Shirley, the Espresso Martini, the Hugo Spritz, and some say now the paper plane, a modern classic from 2008. But how do you even make this drink, and why is it on everybody's radar? In today's episode, we are going to break this down. We're going to teach you how to make the classic, we're going to give you a bit of a twist, and then we're going to turn the whole cocktail on its head to give you 3 new ways of making this current staple in lots of bars across the country. We don't always know where cocktails come from. Lots of folklore out there, but this one actually has a true history. It was created by Sam Ross in 2008 when he was tasked to make a cocktail for an upcoming bar called the Violet Hour in Chicago. He wanted it to be fashioned off of the last word, a drink with 4 equal parts, which led him to bourbon as the base, as bourbon was booming in the market. 4 ingredients in this cocktail, all of equal measure, which makes this really easy to remember. As always, we're gonna start with the least expensive ingredient, which is gonna be lemon juice. Boop. And as always, fresh juice is the best juice. So we're gonna start with 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Something that's really special about this cocktail is it has not 1, but 2 different types of amaro, or you could say amari. And you might be thinking to yourself, why 2 different types? Well, they're not entirely the same. Aperol over here is what's known as an amaro or an aperitivo amaro, which means that it's more fruity, it has a little bit more sweetness. You get things like strawberry, rhubarb, and the proof level isn't too high. And to balance that, we have a more bitter amaro on the other side, amaro nonino, which really is why Sam Ross made this drink. This was a newer product on the market, and he really wanted to show how this one, which has like caramel and oranges, a bit of muskiness in there, along with the bitterness, really balances out the other type of amaro in the drink. Today you'll see that we're using amaro nonino in all 3 variations, but we are going to use some other different amaros or amari. If you have trouble finding this, you could use something like amaro Montenegro, but just please know that no 2 amari are the same. In fact, they're all quite different. So if you need to, please ask a specialist in your store as to what might be comparable if you can't find this product. We're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of amaro nonino. And we're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of Aperol. The base spirit for this cocktail is gonna be bourbon. Sure, you could use rye or scotch, but honestly, bourbon is key here. It really brings the drink together and brings the balance of all the other flavors. We're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce. I'm using a local whiskey and local bourbon, Great Jones. Gotta rep New York City when I can. The drink is served straight up into a coupe, which means all of the dilution has to happen in the shaking process. Fill your shaker with ice. Seal it. And this is when you gotta show the big guns. You gotta give this a really good shake. You get the arms? Just kidding. But like kinda not. Woo! The smiley face. I'm gonna make that a thing. All right. I shook this pretty well, so I'm actually gonna fine strain this just to get out all the little ice particles. We're gonna strain it up into our coupe. Gorgeous. We have that little foam on top, which is exactly what you want in all of your shaken drinks. Well, many bars garnish this with a tiny paper plane. Might be not so easy to make at home. If you're able to order them online, go ahead and add that as a bit of flair. But traditionally, you're going to see many other bars and places use a bit of a lemon peel and twist. So remember, let's take our lemon peel side out, pit side towards you, up an inch, back an inch, 45-degree angle, and squeeze. You see that expression of the oils? Give it a bit of a twist. If you like to use a toothpick, you can, but you can just have that balance off the side, and we're ready to take flight. I love this cocktail. Let's have this. It is so fascinating that equal parts in a drink can be so incredibly balanced. Of course it is, because Sam Ross is a genius, but also with the bitterness of the amaro and the Sprite citrus and those barrel notes that come from the bourbon, it just all works so perfectly together. Not too sweet, not too sour, not too bitter, and it's scary because this is gonna go down fast. But I think we can do something a little fun to bring a few more flavors in here, but keeping the spirit of this drink intact. And even though it has a twist, let's do it with a twist. For this twist on a paper plane, I'm gonna use my favorite tactic, infusion. Not one, but 2 different times and in 2 different ways. Use both, use one of them, but I'm just really excited to show you how you can use infusions to add additional flavor into this already fantastic classic. The infusion that's going to take the longest is the infusion into our aperitivo amaro. So we're gonna be using Amante. Amante is similar to Aperol. It's a newer product on market, and I like it because it has a few other fruit notes in there, some lighter ones. I get some grapefruit in there too. And we're going to add fresh strawberries to that. So we're gonna fill up, this is a 16-ounce jar. I'm gonna infuse this jar at 16 ounces and fill it halfway, so 1 cup of the amaro. Strawberries. I love strawberry. I think strawberry is a great infusion. I will tell you that strawberries do have seasons. So try to use strawberries when they're in season. They're gonna be the freshest and the easiest to infuse. You can do slices, you can cut them into quarters, but either way, just making sure that you don't throw in whole strawberries and cutting them open will give you a greater infusion. So here's the thing about fruit infusions. They all take different quantities of time. If you're doing citrus, because it's much more watery, it's going to infuse a lot faster. Here, with strawberries, they're a little bit harder, but they have a lot of juice. So you're gonna wanna give it at least 24 hours of sitting in order to get the true infusion into it. All right, I like to give it a bit of a swirl to start, and every 6 to 8 hours, I like to give it a little agitation like this. Don't shake it intensely, not necessary, and make sure you place it at room temperature. It will infuse a whole lot faster. I did a little bit of planning ahead of time, and I have already infused one of these, and I kind of want to show up close just the difference in color. This one that we just poured with the Amante is a bit more orangey, the color of the actual Amaro, and this one definitely has the strawberry, and you can see the richness of the red and the pink. It's ready to be used in the cocktail. The most important part is straining this out. There are small pieces of strawberry, so make sure that you strain out everything. And look, these are great snacks after they've been infused. Ooh, don't sleep on the Amaro infused strawberries. Another helpful hint, if you wanted to bake with them, you could throw this into a pie or make a little jam out of it. Don't waste these babies, okay? I'm gonna add this to my bottle to make it easier to pour for later. The other method in which we're gonna infuse this cocktail is with tea. And as a tea drinker, I love this technique. 1, because there's so many different flavors and varieties of tea to use. Number 2, it's the fastest way to add and impart additional flavor to the drink. And 3, well, it's just fun. My at-home trick, if you have a French press, this is actually the easiest way to infuse a spirit. For this paper plane variation, we're gonna use Woodinville bourbon. It's 90% proof and it's 45% ABV. And the higher the ABV, the faster the extraction is going to be when it comes to the tea. I'm gonna add 8 ounces or a cup into my French press over here. Now here's the ratio that you need to know. For every cup of spirit, it's 1 tablespoon or 1 tea bag. Pretty easy to remember. I have Rooibos tea, and I like Rooibos tea, technically a tisane, because it imparts a lot of flavor. It's gonna give more of that red color. It brings up forward those fruit notes, which you find in some of the amari that's in this drink. So we're gonna get 1 tablespoon of that, and I'm gonna put it into this. As you can see, the tea is going to start to infuse, it's going to start to fall. Tea infusion should run you 20 minutes. If you do it past that time, it can get really bitter, and you want to keep your eye on that. Remember, oversteeped teas can become very bitter. To start incorporating the tea into the infusion, I like to give it a little bit of a twirl. And this will start the process of the infusion. And now we wait. This has been infusing for about 20 minutes. I can even smell it. I can smell it. I love it. Oh, I love Rooibos tea and drinks. All right. And why I like using a French press over other tactics is that you just press down, the tea is at the bottom, and we can pour from this vessel when we make the cocktail. As always, we start with our least expensive ingredient and move to the most expensive. I did the work from before, so I've already pre-squeezed my lemons. So we're going to add 0.75 ounces of lemon juice. Amaro nonino, do 3/4 of an ounce. Here is our strawberry-infused Amante. And the Rooibos Tea-infused bourbon. As I always like to say, ice your glass at the same time that you're gonna ice your tin if it's going on the rocks. We're using one large rock. This is a 2x2, meaning 2 inches by 2 inches. And the reason is that the larger the surface area of the ice, the slower it's going to melt. That way you can enjoy the drink at a slower pace and you don't have to rapidly drink it because your ice is melting. So let's get it shaken. When you're putting something back on the rocks, you don't want to shake as long as you would if you're doing something straight up because there will be more dilution. Look at that color. Oh, it looks so pretty. So I'm double straining this cocktail in particular because I shake really hard, which means there might be some ice chips, and I want to make sure there are no ice chips or anything that comes from the fresh lemon juice invading this cocktail. Let's garnish. I really like when the garnish corresponds to the flavors that are going to be in the cocktail, and in this case, strawberries. Depending on the size of the strawberry, you can use a small one if you want to do the whole one, but if your strawberries are large, kind of like mine are, go ahead and use just half of one and make a little slit at the bottom. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. I love that. Also, we love edible garnishes because it gives you a snack when you're having a drink. Let's taste it. Okay, before we taste it, I gotta tell you that the nose is spectacular. You get the tea right off the bat, right off the jump. I'm not sharing. I'm not. This is great. This is so great. I really love that the bitterness comes a bit more to the forefront because of the tea. Tea will bring out bitter notes, and I think those can get lost sometimes in the classic paper plane. I really like the addition of a higher proof bourbon. I think that also amps up this cocktail a little bit more, and because it's equal parts, you can use a bit of a higher proof in there. Again, the citrus is perfect, the strawberry is subtle. This is going to make you look like a rock star without having to do too much at home. This is absolutely fantastic, but I think there's a way that we can take that tea and the strawberries and maybe do something a little bit different, and let's turn this cocktail completely on its head. The paper plane is a shaken cocktail, but what happens if we make it a stirred version? I'm going to give you a few tactics here to take this classic and turn it into a stirred variation that's absolutely delicious and easy to make. The star of the show of this version of the paper plane is going to be this ice cube that's made from Rooibos tea, some strawberries, and lemon juice that slowly melts into the drink to incorporate more additional flavor on top of what we stir up into it. I did some of the heavy lifting ahead of time. I made a fresh batch of Rooibos tea, lemon juice, and I pre-cut some strawberries. We're gonna add 1 cup of Rooibos tea and 2 ounces of lemon juice. So that's a ½ ounce per ice cube. We always wanna make sure that the majority of our ice cube is gonna be water. That enables it to freeze. If you add too many other ingredients, it just doesn't freeze as well. Like we had in the other cocktail, we use strawberries. And here, I want to incorporate strawberries into the drink, but allow it to be the garnish that releases as the cocktail is slowly melting. So I'm going to place some strawberry pieces into the ice mold. This is a 2x2 ice mold, meaning that it's going to be 2 inches by 2 inches, which is going to give it a lot of surface area in the drink. Let's fill up the mold. There we go. Fill all the way to the top. And we're gonna let this freeze overnight. In this stirred version, we're gonna use the amaro as base for the drink alongside the bourbon. Just like in a paper plane, we're using 2 different types of amari. So we have Savoia, which is gonna be a bit more bitter, think Campari, but not as intense. A really delicious product. And we have Amaro Nonino, which is the classic amaro that we use in a paper plane. Just like in a paper plane, they're gonna be 3/4 of an ounce of each of the amari. We're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce. And we're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of the Savoia. A little bit different than your classic paper plane. We are gonna do 1.5 ounces of bourbon. And the reason is that this is a stirred cocktail and we don't have the citrus component in there. So we need to anchor it a bit more with our spirit. And I'm pulling one of my favorites, which is Uncle Nearest bourbon, to use for this purpose. We are gonna do 1.5 ounces of Uncle Nearest, or any bourbon that you'd like for this variation. As I always say, I like to ice the glass when I am going to ice the cocktail. And voila, we have frozen our ice cubes, and let's place one of them into this glass. Look at that. It's so fun. And I do like this because it has a bit more of a slushy texture than just a traditional ice cube, which means it'll definitely melt at a bit faster pace than a regular ice cube, but still it'll take its time. Let's get the regular ice in to the cocktail. And let's stir. We're stirring this cocktail instead of shaking it because it has no citrus. Because it only has liqueurs or amari and spirit, we want to maintain that silky texture. We don't want to force any air into this, so no aeration, no air bubbles. In order to do that, stirring is a technique that's going to allow for dilution while we get the drink mixed up all together. And because this drink is not going to be diluted on a traditional ice cube, you want to give it a little bit more time because you're not putting traditional water into it. Everything else is an infusion of flavor. Fantastic. Let us strain. And I like to strain it right on the ice cube to allow some of the flavors to instantly incorporate into the cocktail. That's a beauty. That is so pretty. It looks so cool. I don't want you to put any garnish on this. If you'd like to put some lemon oils on top, absolutely go for it. But this drink has the garnish in here that's gonna slowly release. And I think we should give it a try. I love when you up the bourbon a little bit in this drink. It really helps to actually accentuate and amplify some of the other ingredients in there. Using a little bit more bitter of an amaro like the Savoia works with the proof of the bourbon, and you can kind of get a little bit of the citrus coming from the ice cube. This is definitely one of those drinks that I think you want to have with a friend and spend a little time with a good conversation because it keeps changing. If only I had a friend at my bar to share one with. Oh look, it's the founder and CEO of Uncle Nearest Whiskey, Fawn Weaver.
Hey, Pam.
Hi,
Hello.
thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, cheers.
That's delicious.
Nice.
Are you going to tell us what's in it?
Oh yes, so this is our fun play on the paper plane. So we've got only one of the most inspiring whiskeys on the market, fastest growing in America, in the world. Uncle Nearest whiskey, the bourbon specifically, with some Savoia, which is a amaro, and also Amaro Nonino. And the ice cube has a little bit of a Rooibos tea and lemon juice. So as it opens up, you're gonna get some more citrus and other notes.
No, this is great. I'm not a fan of paper planes, and because they're too bitter for me.
Okay, yeah.
But this is delicious.
I love
This
that.
is a good balance. I think the Amaro Nonino, it kind of gives it a little bit more sweetness than a traditional paper plane, so it's really good.
It's definitely a good variation. And it actually will say that the whiskey plays a big role in this. Because when you have a really good whiskey as the base, the world opens up with the flavor combinations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is good. That is too cute. I see strawberries.
Yes, there are strawberries frozen within there, so it's kind of fun because as it melts, you're gonna have strawberries in there. It's kind of like your garnish opens up in the drink.
That is so cool.
You see cocktails around the world, Fawn.
Yeah, I have. But I haven't seen one where the iced literally have sliced strawberries in it.
There's a first time for everything
There
here at this bar.
is. That is so cool.
At this bar. Tell
That's
me,
so cool.
you do drink cocktails everywhere.
I do.
What would you say, especially with your whiskey, are your favorite cocktails to drink with Uncle Nearest?
You know what? I love the ones that are simplest. What I tend to do is whatever cocktail is already popular at a restaurant, if they don't have Uncle Nearest at a bar, meaning if they don't have it in a cocktail, I'll look to see which one I think Uncle Nearest will go best with. If I go to, let's call it a Mexican restaurant, I know that they make a really good Cadillac margarita. I'm gonna have them make it with Uncle Nearest instead of tequila. So
That's
everywhere
right.
I go, I am looking for what is the classic cocktail. I can tell you my favorite cocktail when it's made right. My favorite cocktail is a penicillin with Uncle Nearest. Lose the Lefroy, lose the scotch, put in, it ends up being almost like a gold rush with ginger.
That
right? 'Cause
is delicious.
it is phenomenal.
But talking about great things and standing up, being a New York Times bestselling author, let's get into that.
Let's get into it.
Unbelievable, an instant bestseller, I should say. You had a really unique writing process in making this, and I loved watching your journey. You really like buckled down and did it. But what's it like to see this work come to life and to see it touched by so many people?
Oh, I love it. What a lot of people don't know is that the Bob Woodward, who has written I don't know how many incredible books for so long, he announced on Twitter, this has got to be maybe 8 years ago, that his longtime editor, who had done 9 of his 11 most recent bestsellers, she is going to start her own company on her own. And I knew when he said editor, what that meant is she was essentially a co-writer, right? Checking the research, doing all the rest of that stuff. And so I literally probably was one of the first people in her Twitter DMs saying, hey, I got a book for you. And so Evelyn came in, she re-interviewed everyone I interviewed. And the reason why that was important is I wanted to make sure that everyone's memory remained the same. A lot of times books come out and people will say, well, that's not what I meant, or that's not what I said. And when you're telling a story like this, where you're retelling Jack Daniel's story, then you're telling for the first time Nearest's story, I needed to make sure that everyone remembered it exactly as they said it to me.
Yeah, so if you haven't gotten this book, go buy this, go buy it. It's a great, any time of year, even a merry unbirthday present. But I read it so quickly when I got it, and congratulations, as it continues to do really well. My favorite is when I fly, even in airports, and it's in the airport, like bookstores, and and you sign them sometimes.
I do.
Which is so fun.
I try to sign, every time I'm going through an airport, I try to sign the books, which it's amazing for me because I'll go through and I'll sign a ton of them, and I'll come back through that airport a couple months later and all of them are gone. They need me to sign again. That's the best feeling.
Reprintings.
It's the best feeling. I think we're on like the 4th or 5th reprinting at this point.
Let's hope it gets to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the next ones. I want to know if you want to dive into some questions we might have.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And then you got to tell the folks watching this, because I asked the question because I was so confused.
Yes.
At the fact that you had sugar in this.
Yeah.
And I have always been told that if you have sugar, then it's going to make this bitter. So I'm about to taste it and see if that's what happens.
Let's do a pairing.
Okay.
Let's do a pairing.
And which way should I have it? This first and then this?
I always say it's one, or it doesn't matter, one or the other, and then I do one way, and then I like to do it the other way. So 2 tastings is what I say. But here's my philosophy about snacks. If you're a consummate host, have a snack for everybody. Every type of snack, something umami, salty, savory, sweet, and that way people can go between it and see how their palate reacts to the cocktail that you have. What I love about something with amaro is that it has bitter and it has sweet and it has a lot of the incredible, like the barrel notes from the bourbon. So
that was fun.
That's gonna go really well
That
together.
was fun what I just did there.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a boozy gummy bear.
Yeah.
Or boozy gummy worm.
You know, you could always soak them in some whiskey and have some fun.
That's fun. Okay.
All right, so we are gonna dive in.
Let's do it.
Let's get some questions, and you're ready for some hot takes? All right. What's a skill you'd love to learn if you had more time?
Oh, I'm learning it now with this French. Every night.
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah. I'm sorry, yes. I am, every day I'm committed to 20 minutes.
Great.
Every day. If I had I'm also doing it now. I'm over at Harvard to get my master's in finance. And one of the things I've learned in building a business, running a business, you really have to be able to watch the watchman. In the one area I don't have it as much as I want to, is finance. So I said, I'm gonna go back and get my master's, and then I'll be able to do it right.
That is incredible. All right, ready for the next question? What's your favorite little treat?
Unfortunately, I have way too many.
And you share a lot of that.
I am
through your,
such a snacker, it's absurd. So I would say Tate's oatmeal raisin cookies for breakfast, probably one of my favorite treats. And Bluebell ice cream, if you're in the South, has this thing called a cookie two-step, which is basically, it's like Oreo cookies and cream ice cream with cookie dough added.
I'm sorry.
It's a problem.
I'm very involved right now. I'm very.
It's a problem.
What's it like with a drizzle of bourbon on top?
Oh, listen. Okay, so here's another one of my favorite little snacks is I love taking really good ice cream. So Bluebell is a great example.
Excellent brand.
But even, this is gonna shock you, but even something like McDonald's or Hardee's or Chick-fil-A, you just get their vanilla shake and you pour an ounce of this in it and
Fun times.
woo,
Fun times
it's
ahead.
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
This is so fun. You're the best. I love you.
I love you.
Paper strain. How do you relax after a long day?
Oh, I sleep. So, I am a big fan of sleep. So I don't have, a lot of people have this unwinding process. I don't understand the unwinding process.
I don't know what that is.
I just sleep. And so my favorite thing to do is, and I do it 24 hours a week, you already know that. And there is no, like, I have to shut off my work brain. Oh, no. My work brain knows the moment the Sabbath has begun, work brain is like, I'll see you in 24 hours. Out of here. And so for me, it's rest. I love to rest. I love to sleep. I sleep really, really, really well.
What's a motto or saying you live by?
HBU, highest and best use of time. If it's not HBU, it does not make it onto my calendar. It doesn't mean that it's not good, doesn't mean that it's not worthy, it doesn't mean that it's not worth someone else's time, but it is at my highest and best use of time. And that parallels with one model that people on my team hear me say all the time. If somebody else can do it, someone else should do it.
It's just knowing your bandwidth and delegating.
Absolutely.
So now you know how to make your paper plane, and I would love to end with a toast.
Yes.
So be good to yourself, be kind to others. Let's stay in great health, and let's all drink really well.
Really well. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So slick! Da, da, da.